Returning to the apocalypse, my sister gets to choose between two special abilities every year, and the one she doesn't want goes to me. She gleefully picks the only offensive ability, lightning control. I pick up the support ability she looks down on, purifying light, and become the healer every base is desperate to recruit. She beats me half to death to take away the 100-fold storage space, then fills it with expired food. I used the land revitalization she left behind to cultivate mutated plants underground that can resist the zombie virus, the day she came to my safe zone with a bunch of her lackeys, demanding that I hand over all my supplies, just in time to witness the leaders of several major bases lining up to beg me to use my plants to purify their virus-contaminated land. Sis, look quickly. My younger sister Lin Yao excitedly pushed open my door, her face unable to conceal her wild joy. Her fingertips hovered in midair, two soft orbs of light floating before her. One orb was surrounded by purple lightning, exuding a destructive aura, labeled lightning control. The other was as smooth as jade, emitting a holy glow, labeled purifying light. I watched this scene calmly, but my heart was pounding like a drum in my chest. I'm back, returned to the first day of the apocalypse. The day Lin Yao and I awakened our supernatural abilities, in our previous life. We faced the same two choices. Lin Yao unhesitatingly chose the most aggressive ability, lightning control, while I passively accepted the seemingly useless, purifying light. In the apocalypse, a support who can't kill zombies is nothing but dead weight. I barely survive in the base by purifying water and food, living like a dog. Meanwhile, Lin Yao, with her powerful lightning ability, has become the center of attention in the base, revered by all as the Lightning Queen. In the end, to snatch a man, she mercilessly struck me with a bolt of lightning, reducing me to ashes, given a second chance at life. As I watch her reach for lightning control, once more, my fingers curl slightly at my side. Sis, which one do you think I should choose? She asked me with feigned innocence, though the greed and ambition in her eyes were unmistakable. This lightning one looks so cool, but the purification one seems pretty good too. I knew she just wanted to relish my jealous and helpless expression. In my past life, I was indeed driven mad with envy, but now, I just find it laughable. Definitely lightning control, I said calmly, even with a hint of encouragement. Offensive abilities, only the strong survive in the apocalypse. Lin Yao was taken aback, seemingly not expecting me to say that. She eyed me suspiciously a few times but was ultimately overwhelmed by the powerful allure of lightning control. You're right, she said smugly, lifting her chin. A coward like you wouldn't dare use an offensive ability even if you had one. This purifying light is actually quite fitting for you. Washing clothes and scrubbing bowls, at least it's somewhat useful. After saying this, she grabbed hold of that cluster of purple lightning. The light instantly vanished into the space between her eyebrows. She let out a comfortable sigh, and tiny arcs of electricity began to dance at her fingertips. As for the light of purification she had discarded, it drifted slowly toward me like an unwanted child and merged into my body. A warm current spread through my limbs, feeling pleasant, but I truly couldn't sense any offensive power in it. Lin Yao cast a disdainful glance at me, then turned and walked out of the room to show off her powerful ability to our parents. I closed the door and slowly let out a heavy sigh. She didn't know that, in the later stages, purifying light would become more precious than any offensive ability. It could not only purify water and food but also cleanse the zombie virus. What would a healer capable of neutralizing the zombie virus mean in an apocalyptic world where everyone was fighting for survival? It signifies supreme power and status, and Lin Yao personally placed this immense power right before me. Outside the window, the sky darkened at a visible rate, and the air began to fill with a putrid, sweet, and fishy smell. On the street, piercing screams and chaotic roars erupted. The apocalypse has arrived. Bang, bang, bang. The door was violently pounded, and Dad roared outside. Lin Wan, get out here. Yao Yao says there are monsters outside. Hurry up and come protect us. I paid no attention. In my previous life, it was because I opened the door that 3 zombies rushed in and instantly bit my mother to death before she could react. And Dad, without hesitation, pushed me toward the zombies. Fleeing with Lin Yao himself. In this life, I won't make the same mistake again. I used the heaviest desk in the room to firmly block the door, then dragged the mattress over to barricade the window. The cursing and snarling outside the door grew clearer, mixed with Lin Yao's impatient urging, "Dad, forget about her. What use is a support type anyway? Let's go, soon." The sounds outside faded away. I know, they're gone. Just like in the previous life, they abandoned me without hesitation. I leaned against the door, listening to the agonizing screams of my neighbor being devoured by zombies in the hallway, my heart turning cold. In the darkness, I extended my right hand, and a soft white light began to glow in my palm. This is the purifying light. I fished out a bottle of somewhat murky mineral water from my backpack and enveloped the bottle with the ball of light. In just a few seconds, all the impurities in the water disappeared, leaving it crystal clear. I unscrewed the cap and took a sip. It was sweet and refreshing, even better than the finest purified water before the apocalypse. I took out another pack of bread that was about to expire and purified it with light as well. The dry, hard bread slices became soft again, emitting a fresh aroma of wheat. This is the foundation of my survival in the early stages. In a post-apocalyptic world where food and water are more precious than gold, I will never go hungry for the next 7 days. I stayed in my room. The outside world had completely turned into a living hell, and my room was the only safe haven. Using my purification ability, I processed all the nearly spoiled food in the refrigerator, enough to last me a month. On the 8th day, the roars outside gradually subsided. I know, the first wave of chaos has passed, and the survivors have begun to establish the initial survivor outposts. I carefully opened the door a crack, confirmed there were no zombies in the hallway. Then shouldered my pre-packed backpack and left this so-called home. Downstairs, dark red bloodstains and mutilated corpses were everywhere. The stench of decay in the air was so thick it was nauseating. I forced down my discomfort and ran as fast as I could in the direction I remembered. The South City Stadium was the first and largest survivor base in the city. In my previous life, Lin Yao and the others had also gathered there. When I arrived at the stadium, a number of survivors had already gathered at the entrance, with several armed men maintaining order and checking everyone who wanted to enter. I saw Lin Yao. She was surrounded by a crowd of people, like a proud queen. Electric sparks flickered at her fingertips as she effortlessly electrocuted a nearby zombie into charcoal, drawing gasps of awe and admiration from those around her. She also saw me. A flicker of surprise in her eyes, quickly replaced by intense disdain. "Well, if it isn't my useless older sister, still alive, I see." She walked up to me in her high heels, looking down at me from above. "What, want to get into the base? Beg me, and I'll let you in." The man beside her joined in the jeering, his eyes roaming over me with ill intentions. I ignored her and walked straight to the man in charge of registration. "Hello, I'm an ability user." The man looked up and asked lazily. "What ability?" "Support type, purification." As soon as the words fell, a burst of laughter erupted around. "Purification? What kind of garbage ability is that? Can it kill zombies?" I'm dying of laughter. Nowadays, any random nobody dares to call themselves an ability user. Lin Yao laughed so hard she trembled like a flower in the wind. "Sis, I told you. Your ability is only good for washing clothes and doing dishes. Get lost already. Don't embarrass yourself here." The man at the registration desk waved impatiently. "Go on, get out of here. Our base doesn't support freeloaders." Without changing my expression, I took a bottle of water from my backpack and handed it to him. "You can try it." The man looked at me suspiciously, then at the bottle of crystal clear water in my hand. After the apocalypse broke out, the tap water system was immediately contaminated, filled with deadly viruses. Now, the survivors are drinking bottled water from previous stockpiles. With each bottle consumed meaning one less remains. He hesitated for a moment but still took the water bottle. He unscrewed the cap and took a cautious sip. The next second, his eyes widened abruptly. This water. He couldn't believe it and took another big gulp, his face showing an expression of extreme delight. "Delicious, so delicious. It's exactly the same as before the apocalypse." Everyone around was stunned. A man standing nearby couldn't help but lean in and ask, "Old Wang, is it real or fake?" Old Wang hugged the water bottle as if it were a treasure, eyeing him warily. "Of course it's real. Why would I lie to you?" The look in his eyes toward me instantly changed, shifting from impatience to fervor and respect. "Miss, you can really purify the water." I nodded, Whoa, the crowd instantly erupted into an uproar. All eyes were fixed on me, filled with shock and longing. It can purify water sources. What does this mean? It means unlimited, clean drinking water. In this post-apocalyptic world where even a sip of clean water is incredibly precious, the value of my trash ability instantly surpasses Lin Yao's seemingly powerful lightning control. Lin Yao's face turned extremely grim. She never expected that this ability of mine, which she had looked down upon, could have such an astonishing effect. Gritting her teeth, she said unwillingly, "It's just purifying water, isn't it? What's so great about that? My lightning can kill all the zombies." However, this time, no one echoed her words. A man who appeared to be a leader quickly walked over and politely extended his hand to me. "Miss, welcome to the Dawn Base. I'm one of the people in charge here. My name is Qin Feng." I shook his hand lightly. "Lin Wan, Miss Lin, please come in." Qin Feng made a welcoming gesture toward me, his attitude extremely respectful. "Your ability is crucial to our base." I was politely ushered into the interior of the gymnasium by Qin Feng. As for Lin Yao, she was left standing there, her face turning pale and then flushed with anger. Her proud attack power seemed so insignificant in the face of the immense temptation of infinite water. I was assigned to a separate room. Though simple, it was clean. Qin Feng told me that, as the only purifying ability user in the base, I only needed to provide 50 bottles of purified water each day in exchange for ample food and absolute security. This was a very generous offer. Of course, I wouldn't refuse. Soon, I became a celebrity at the Dawn Base. Everyone knew that a purification goddess, who could provide clean water, had arrived at the base. Every day, countless people brought various supplies, hoping to exchange them for an extra bottle of purified water from me. I take everything that comes my way, trading excess water for large amounts of food, medicine, clothing, and even weapons. My small room quickly became packed to the brim. Although Lin Yao, with her lightning ability, was also doing quite well and became the leader of the base's hunting team, she was completely overshadowed by me. She watched as I was surrounded by admirers and saw me living a better life than hers with the useless ability she looked down on the most, her eyes turning green with envy. Finally, late one night, she kicked open my door with 2 men in tow. "Lin Wan, get out here." I sat up from the bed, coldly watching the 3 intruders. Lin Yao's gaze greedily swept over the mountain of supplies piled up in my room, finally settling on my face, filled with venom. "Hand over your purification ability," she said viciously. "This ability should have been mine. You must have used some trick to steal it." I was almost driven to laughter by her shameless words. "Lin Yao, have you lost your mind? You were the one who gave it up back then, and now you're blaming me." "I don't care." Lin Yao looked as if she had gone mad. "If you don't hand it over today, don't even think about staying alive." The 2 men behind her also rubbed their hands together, leering at me with lustful expressions. They were both members of Lin Yao's hunting squad and also her devoted followers. "Yao Jia, why waste words on her? Let's just take her down. Then this girl and all these supplies will be ours, won't they?" "Exactly, a support type. How could she possibly turn the tables?" A glint of triumph flashed in Lin Yao's eyes, the electric sparks at her fingertips crackling. "I'll give you one last chance." I slowly rose to my feet, a sharp fire axe now in my hand. Though I couldn't recall when I had picked it up, I had traded 3 bottles of water for it from a survivor earlier in the day. "Want it? Then come and get it yourself. You refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit." Lin Yao roared angrily, and a bolt of lightning shot toward me. I was prepared and rolled to the side, narrowly dodging it. A bolt of lightning struck the wall behind me, leaving a charred mark. The 2 men also charged at me with sinister grins. My eyes turned cold, and instead of retreating, I advanced. The fire axe in my hand traced a chilling arc as it swung fiercely toward the neck of the man on the left. He hadn't expected a seemingly delicate woman like me to strike so ruthlessly. In his panic, he scrambled backward, but the axe blade still sliced open his arm, and blood gushed out instantly. Another person took the opportunity to grab me by the waist, and without hesitation, I drove my elbow hard into his temple. The man let out a scream and released his grip, seizing the chance. I kicked him to the ground and struck his knee hard with the back of the fire axe. Crunch! The sound of bones breaking was especially clear in the silent night. The man clutched his leg and let out a pig-slaughtering howl. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. Lin Yao and the other man were both stunned. They never expected that I, the useless support, would have such formidable combat prowess. I have lived 2 lives and struggled at the bottom of the apocalypse for 10 years. What kind of battles have I not experienced, dealing with these 2 scumbags, whose bodies have been drained by alcohol and lust, is more than enough. You. Lin Yao was both shocked and furious. Holding the blood-dripping fire axe, I stepped closer to her. Do you still want my special ability? My gaze was as cold as a blade, making her shiver involuntarily. She screamed with a false show of strength, "Don't come any closer. I'll kill you." Another bolt of lightning shot toward me. But continuously using her special ability had already made her face turn somewhat pale. I dodged again, closed in, and kicked her in the abdomen. Lin Yao was sent flying backward by my kick, crashing heavily against the wall and spitting out a mouthful of blood. She looked at me in disbelief. "How is this possible? You're just a support." I walked up to her, looking down at her from a commanding height. "Who told you that a support can't fight?" I raised the fire axe, aiming it at her head. Just then, a series of hurried footsteps came from outside the door. Qin Feng rushed in with a team, and his expression changed drastically upon seeing the scene in the room. "Stop, Miss Lin Wan. What are you doing?" Seeing Qin Feng arrive, Lin Yao seemed to have grasped a lifeline and immediately burst into tears. "Captain Qin, save me, my sister has gone mad. She's trying to kill me." Qin Feng frowned, looking at the fire axe in my hand and the 2 men groaning on the ground. His expression growing somewhat complicated. "Miss Lin Wan, what is going on? Please put the axe down first." I didn't move, just stared coldly at Lin Yao. "She brought people into my room, tried to steal my things, and even wanted to kill me." Lin Yao immediately retorted, "I didn't, it was her. She was jealous that my lightning ability is stronger than hers. So she wanted to kill me and monopolize the best resources in the base. Her ability to twist the truth remains as strong as ever." Qin Feng was clearly in a difficult position. On one side was a purification ability user who could provide an unlimited water source, and on the other was a powerful lightning ability user with formidable combat strength. He didn't want to offend either. He could only try to smooth things over. There must be some misunderstanding here. "Lin Yao, take your people and leave first. Miss Lin Wan, please calm down as well." Lin Yao was unwilling to give up, but seeing my icy glare, she still felt a lingering fear. She could only shoot me a resentful look, support herself against the wall to stand up, and lead her people away in a sorry state. Qin Feng stayed behind inside. "Miss Lin Wan, I know you've been wronged, but right now, the base needs unity. After all, Lin Yao is a top-tier fighter, and I hope you can. I will double the amount of purified water I provide every day." I cut him off and directly stated my condition. Qin Feng was stunned. I continued, "In exchange, I need absolute safety. I don't want anyone to be able to barge into my room so casually again. If it happens one more time, I can't guarantee the water supply to the base will continue." It was a blatant threat. Qin Feng's expression changed, but in the end, he nodded. "I understand. I will assign more personnel to guard your door to ensure that what happened today will not occur again." He gave me a deep look, then turned and left. I knew that after tonight's events, Qin Feng's attitude toward me would become more cautious, but at the same time, he would also place greater emphasis on my safety, because he understood that my value far exceeded that of an impulsive and easily angered Lin Yao. Time flies, and soon, it will be the first anniversary of the apocalypse. On this day, both Lin Yao and I had a new option appear in our minds simultaneously: 100-fold storage space, vs. land activation. Seeing these 2 options, my breathing instantly quickened. Here it comes, land revitalization, an ability that Lin Yao had discarded like trash in her previous life, but was later hailed as a divine skill. It can revitalize land contaminated by the virus, restoring its ability to be cultivated. In the mid to late stages of the apocalypse, when food shortages became a more deadly threat than zombies, the value of this ability was immeasurable, and Lin Yao, her gaze was fixed intently on 100-fold storage space. A space capable of holding a mountain of supplies holds a deadly allure for any post-apocalyptic survivor. In my previous life, it was for this very space that she beat me half to death. "Sis," Lin Yao's voice echoed eerily. tinged with a strange excitement. "This time, which one do you think I should choose?" Before I could even speak, she lunged at me, delivering a sharp chop to the back of my neck. Everything went black before my eyes, and I instantly lost consciousness. When I woke up, I found myself lying in an abandoned warehouse. The back of my neck was burning with pain, and my whole body felt as if it had fallen apart. Lin Yao was standing right in front of me, her face showing undisguised triumph and cruelty. "Awake, my dear sister." A small spatial mark had appeared between her eyebrows. Clearly, she had already chosen the hundredfold storage space, and the land activation that she had given up had automatically become mine. "I can feel a faint but vibrant energy flowing through my body. Did you knock me out just for this space?" I asked coldly. "Of course," Lin Yao laughed arrogantly. "Did you think I would give you a choice, you wretch? You've been throwing your weight around the base with that trash ability I discarded, stealing all my spotlight. I've wanted to kill you for a long time." She kicked me in the stomach, and I curled up in pain. "Now, with 100 times the space, I can store all the supplies from the entire base. And you?" She crouched down and patted my face. "What use is that land activation ability of yours? To farm? That's hilarious. Can anything even grow on land contaminated by the virus?" She stood up, looking at me as if I were trash. "Just die in this warehouse. Don't worry, I'll tell Qin Feng that you were accidentally bitten by a zombie and ran out on your own." After saying this, she turned and left laughing, locking the warehouse door from the outside with an iron chain. The warehouse was dead silent, with only the sound of my heavy breathing. I struggled to get up, leaning against the cold wall. Lin Yao thought she had won. She thought that by obtaining the storage space, she had gained the whole world. But she didn't know that what she had lost was a true treasure. I closed my eyes, feeling the land activation ability within me. Then, I pressed my hand against the cold, hard concrete beneath me. A green light spread out from the palm of my hand. A miracle happened. The hard cement ground actually softened at a visible rate, its color changing from grayish-white to a fertile black. A small patch, only the size of a palm, but full of vitality. I laughed. "Lin Yao, you fool. You have no idea what a terrifying chemical reaction occurs when purifying light and land activation are combined." I pulled an apple out of my backpack. I had traded purified water for it and hadn't been willing to eat it until now. I ate the flesh and carefully buried the remaining apple core in the patch of revitalized soil. Then, I activated purifying light once more, enveloping the area with a soft, white glow. Under the effect of dual abilities, the apple core quickly sprouted, broke through the soil, and grew at an incredible speed. It branched out, spread leaves, blossomed, and bore fruit. In just 10 short minutes, a half-person-tall apple tree appeared before me, adorned with 3 red apples emitting an enticing fragrance. I plucked one and took a bite, crisp, sweet, and bursting with juice. More importantly, I could feel a pure life energy flowing from the flesh of the fruit into my body, healing the internal injuries I had sustained from Lin Yao's blows. This was no ordinary apple anymore. This was a mutated plant capable of resisting the zombie virus and even enhancing the body. I looked at the apple tree before me, and an unprecedented light burst forth in my eyes. "Lin Yao, just you wait, our game has only just begun." I wasn't in a hurry to leave the warehouse. It's remote and undisturbed, perfect for me to quietly make a fortune, using land activation and purifying light. I turned the entire warehouse floor into fertile soil. Then, I planted all the seeds I had collected, potatoes, tomatoes, corn, wheat, everything. Under the influence of my special ability, these plants grew wildly. In just 3 days, the entire warehouse was transformed into a thriving underground farm. Mutated vegetables and grains were piled up like mountains, emitting an enticing fragrance. These foods not only satisfy hunger but also, with long-term consumption, enhance physical fitness and increase resistance to the zombie virus. Thanks to these mutated foods, my body's injuries healed quickly, and I even felt stronger than before. On the 7th day, I felt the time was right. I used the fire axe to break the chains and walked out of the warehouse. The sunlight was blinding, and I squinted to adjust. I did not return to the Dawn base. That place is no longer worth my nostalgia. I want to establish a safe zone that belongs only to me. I found an abandoned underground air raid shelter. it is easy to defend and hard to attack. With a huge space, making it an excellent location for establishing a safe zone, I moved the supplies from my warehouse over in batches. Then, I began using my mutated plants to attract survivors. I placed a mutated potato at the entrance of the bomb shelter. This potato was as big as a basketball, with a radiant, colorful skin, and its fragrance could be detected from miles away. Soon, survivors were drawn over. It was a sallow and emaciated man. He stared at the enormous potato. His eyes fixed and drool dripping from the corner of his mouth. He cautiously looked around, then pounced on it like a starving wolf, clutching the potato and biting into it. I stepped out from the shadows. The man was startled and immediately assumed a defensive posture, tightly protecting the potatoes in his arms. "Don't be afraid." I tried to make my voice sound gentle. "I mean no harm. If you want to eat, go ahead." The man froze, looking at me in disbelief. I pointed to the entrance of the air raid shelter. "There's more inside." Eventually, his craving for food overcame his caution. He followed me into the bomb shelter. When he saw the mountain of mutated fruits and vegetables, he immediately knelt down, hugged my leg, and wept bitterly. "God, a deity? Are you a deity?" I helped him up and told him my name is Lin Wan, that I'm not a deity, just an esper who hopes to help more people survive. I let him stay. And he became the first resident of my safe zone. I named him Aching. With Aching spreading the word, more and more survivors came seeking refuge. Most of them are ordinary people, struggling at the bottom and marginalized by the major bases. Just like Aching, I took them in. I provided them with food and safe shelter, while they were responsible for the construction and defense of the safe zone. My safe zone grew rapidly, like a snowball effect. We cleared the zombies around the air raid shelter and built sturdy walls and fortifications. Using land activation and light of purification, I cultivated vast farmlands inside the air raid shelter, achieving self-sufficiency in food. My reputation gradually spread far and wide. People no longer called me the goddess of purification, but instead referred to me as the goddess of life, because I can not only provide clean water, but also offer food that brings hope. So what is Lin Yao doing at this moment? She is immersed in the immense joy of having 100-fold space. She is frantically gathering every resource she can find, whether useful or not, expired or not, and stuffing it all into her space. She thought she had grasped the lifeline of the apocalypse, but she didn't know that the canned and packaged foods in her space were rapidly spoiling and decaying. The treasure trove she took pride in was turning into a massive garbage dump. Another year quickly passed. In the third year of the apocalypse, a new choice arrived: mental barrier vs animal affinity. This time, the choice was still in Lin Yao's hands. At that time, a type of mutated zombie capable of manipulating minds began to appear, causing headaches for all major bases. Lin Yao did not hesitate to choose mental barrier to protect her not-so-smart brain. As for me, I ended up with the animal affinity that she looked down on once again, in Lin Yao's view. In the apocalypse, animals were either extinct or had turned into mutated monsters even more terrifying than zombies, making this ability utterly useless. But she was wrong. I used animal affinity to establish a connection with a mutated homing pigeon. This pigeon is faster than a drone and can silently fly over any defense line. It became my best scout. Through it, I can observe the movements of all nearby bases, avoid dangers in advance, and discover valuable resource points. I also tamed a group of mutated pangolins. They became my most capable construction workers, helping me dig out an extensive network of underground tunnels, making my safe zone impregnable. Under my management, my safe zone has become a paradise that everyone yearns for. We have an endless supply of food, absolutely safe shelter, and even simple recreational activities. Meanwhile, other bases are finding it increasingly difficult to survive. The viral contamination of the land is worsening, making it impossible to farm, and even wild plants are beginning to wither and die. Their stored food is being consumed at an alarming rate. Dawn Base is no exception. Qin Feng was at his wit's end. The base's food reserves had hit rock bottom, and people were dying of hunger every day. Although Lin Yao's space was filled with food, she was selfish and utterly unwilling to share it. What's even more absurd is that she herself didn't realize that most of the food in her space had already rotted and spoiled. making it completely inedible. Finally, rumors about my underground kingdom and miraculous plants reached the ears of the leaders of the major bases. At first, they didn't believe it, but after sending out countless scouts, none of whom returned, they had no choice but to start taking the rumor seriously. And Lin Yao finally heard my name from someone else's mouth, when she learned that I, the sister she had beaten half to death and left to die in a warehouse, not only survived but also established a safe zone more powerful than the Dawn base. Her expression must have been priceless. Jealousy and resentment gnawed at her heart like a venomous snake. She couldn't accept that I, this worthless person, had once again risen above her. She gathered all her trusted followers in the Dawn base, forming a team of over 100 people, and marched toward my safe zone in a grand procession. She wanted to take everything from me, just as she had done before. My carrier pigeon brought me the news at the first moment. I stood at the entrance of the air raid shelter, watching the dust rising in the distance, a cold smile curling at the corner of my mouth. Lin Yao, you've finally come. I've been waiting for this day for a very long time. Lin Yao's convoy stopped just outside my safe zone. Dressed in fiery red leather, she stood on the roof of an off-road vehicle, holding a megaphone, and shouted at me with an arrogant posture. Lin Wan, you coward, get out here. I know you're in there. Don't think hiding will save you. I'm telling you, today, your safe zone, everything you have, will be mine. If you know what's good for you, open the gates and kneel to beg for mercy. Maybe if I'm in a good mood, I'll leave your body intact. Her voice echoed across the desolate wilderness. Brimming with unbridled arrogance, her followers joined in the clamor, hurling vulgar insults without end. I paid no attention, just quietly watched her performance. At that moment, several convoys also appeared on the horizon from the other side. They were convoys from several other major bases in the city: Gale Force Base, Bedrock Base, and the military-established Dragon Tooth Base. Their convoys were larger in scale and better equipped. Lin Yao also saw them and frowned, clearly not expecting others to show up, but thinking that these people were also here to seize my safe zone. A faint smile of amusement appeared on her face instead. Well, quite a few people have come, Lin Wan. It seems you're not the only one eyeing this piece of prime meat. The convoy quickly arrived nearby. Several people got out of the car. Leading them was the leader of the Gale base, a man named Xiao Ran. Also present were the chief of the Boulder base, a burly and robust man, and the head of the Dragon Fong base, a stern-faced middle-aged man in military uniform, Commander Qin. They didn't even glance at Lin Yao and walked straight to the gate of my safe zone. Then, under the stunned gaze of Lin Yao and all her subordinates, these influential figures, who held absolute authority in their respective territories, bowed deeply to me in unison. Xiao Ran was the first to speak, his tone extremely sincere. Ms. Lin, I have long heard of your reputation. I am Xiao Ran from the Gale base, and I have come here today with a bold request. The leader of the Boulder base also spoke in a deep, muffled voice. Ms. Lin, our Boulder base is running out of food. We beg you, please sell us some grain. We are willing to trade everything we have for it. Finally, it was Commander Qin, who saluted with a grave expression. Ms. Lin, on behalf of the Dragon Fong base and all the survivors in this city, I implore you to lend a helping hand and use your miraculous plants to purify our virus-contaminated land, please. After saying that, he bowed deeply at a 90-degree angle once again. The entire world seemed to fall silent. The smile on Lin Yao's face completely froze, replaced by endless astonishment and disbelief. The followers behind her were also completely dumbfounded. What did they see? The leaders of several major bases were actually lining up, humbly begging Lin Wan, begging her. The woman whom Lin Yao called a good-for-nothing. Lin Yao's mind went blank. She couldn't comprehend the scene unfolding before her at all. This was completely different from the script she had imagined. She screamed, "Are you all insane? Why are you begging her? She's just a useless person, a farmer who only knows how to farm." Xiao Ran finally turned to look at her, his gaze as if he were looking at an idiot. "A farmer?" he sneered. "Ms. Lin is a deity who can save all of us, and you." He pointed at Lin Yao, saying disdainfully, "A reckless brute who only knows how to fight and kill. How dare you compare yourself to Ms. Lin, you?" Lin Yao trembled with rage, electric sparks crackling at her fingertips, but she dared not make a move. because she realized that the people brought by the major bases had all aimed their pitch-black gun barrels at her and her subordinates. If she so much as twitched, she would instantly be riddled with bullets. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible, Lin Yao muttered in despair, unable to accept this reality. Her proud S-class offensive ability, the 100-fold storage space she had schemed so hard to obtain. At this moment, they had all become a joke. I slowly opened the door to the safe zone and walked out. I watched her calmly, as if observing a clown on stage. Lin Yao, you've lost. I haven't lost, she screamed at me hysterically. I still have 100 times more space. The supplies I have inside are enough to last me a lifetime. All of you will starve. You'll all come begging to me. She frantically opened her storage space, wanting to show off her treasure to everyone. However, the moment the space opened, an indescribable stench instantly filled the air. Countless pieces of rotten and moldy food, mixed with green mold and sticky liquid, poured out of the space like garbage, piling up at her feet. Everyone was forced to step back from the foul odor, their faces twisted in disgust. Ugh, someone vomited on the spot. Lin Yao was also stunned. She looked at the pile of foul-smelling garbage at her feet, at the food she had once treasured like gold, now reduced to this state. The color instantly drained from her face. No, my food, my supplies. How could this happen? I looked at her coldly. Do you think time stands still in the apocalypse? The things you stuffed in there expired long ago. Lin Yao completely broke down. Her last resort, her biggest trump card, had become a huge joke. She lost completely and utterly. At that very moment, the choice for the 4th year quietly descended upon the minds of Lin Yao and me. Absolute control via seed of hope. Absolute control allows absolute control over one element or a person whose level is not higher than one's own. Seed of hope, a one-time consumable item that can completely purify an entire area of land, restoring it to its pre-apocalyptic state. Lin Yao seemed to have seen her last lifeline, a frenzied glint reigniting in her eyes. She stared fixedly at absolute control. She wants to control me. As long as she controls me, everything I have will be hers, she roared, lunging at me like a wild beast. Trying to seize that option before the choice ended, but Xiao Ran and Commander Chen's people were faster than her. Several stun guns hit simultaneously, and Lin Yao convulsed before collapsing to the ground, completely losing the ability to resist. The time for a choice had come. This time, she failed to make a choice. Both options drifted before me. I did not hesitate to choose the seed of hope. As for Lin Yao, she was taken away by the Dragon Fong base. What awaits her is the most just trial of the apocalypse. In front of everyone, I buried the seed of hope, which radiated a 7-colored glow, into the ground beneath my feet. In an instant, a green wave of light swept out in all directions, centered around me. Where the light waves passed, the dry, cracked, and blackened land became moist and fertile once more. Withered plants regained their vitality, and even the putrid, fishy stench in the air was replaced by the fresh fragrance of grass and trees. Everyone was overwhelmed by the miracle before their eyes. They knelt on the ground, weeping with joy. I knew that this land was saved. The future of humanity also held new hope, and I, Lin Wan, the girl once abandoned by my sister and left with its useless ability, ultimately became the only light in this post-apocalyptic world.